As you mentioned, the grid is a partially reverse, with the top 8 being drawn in both Class A and Class B, and this is how it looks. Despite his car crawling to a halt after crossing a line with issues, Kevin Talbot starts this race from pole position. He could be the favourite here if all the issues are solved. Alongside him, hoping fingers crossed for a really good result, is Fraser McNeil from the front row of the grid. He's been here before a couple of times. Can he convert that into a first podium? If he can, it would be his best result of the season to date. It's an all EK Civic second row with James Alford ahead of Dave Buki, then Philip Wright, who starts in 5th position, and Josh Harvey, who took his first Racing Hondas podium in race 1 in 3rd place. Then Bob Barron, who will also be hoping the conditions work to his favour, and Manudi Crown Class A champion Will Self, also going for 2nd place overall in the championship. We'll get onto that connotation in a second. The last of the Class A cars is Jordan Morgan's, and no Liam Collins, sadly. His car does not take the start. I can't see it on the grid, neither in the pit lane, so sadly he will not finish the season in the race. In terms of Class B, the pole position for the reverse grid goes to Spencer Fortag alongside Danny Weston. One occasion for him to start his 2nd ever race in the championship from the front row of the grid in class. Then it's Sammy Milam and Lewis Barker from Ryan Cunningham, who's also in contention for that 2nd place overall. And Dan Thackeray, unstoppable Dan, now with 12 class wins. Can he come from basically 8th in class to make it a 13th? It's unlucky for some, but is it going to be lucky for Dan on this occasion? From 17th backwards, we then look back to the last of our Class B cars, which is Sam Linster, who had some issues in race 1 with damage. Luke Crash's many tangled with Harry Greenhill before, so he'll start at 18th and 19th respectively. Owen Diver starts back the back of Class B and P20. And then our two Class C runners for one final time this season. Matt Rowling ahead of Callum Houchin, the champion ahead of the man in 2nd place. So before I quickly bring in Ian Waterhouse as they go off on the first of, I expect there 2 formation laps, given there is a change in conditions. This is how the championship stands coming into the final race of the season. We've decided all our class champions, overall champions decided. The big one still to the side is runner-up spot in the overall title battle between Will Self in Class A and Ryan Cunningham in Class B. According to the coordinator, Carl McKellar, who's given me the information, and I quote, Self has an 8-point advantage over Cunningham in the fight to be the overall championship runner-up. He needs a top 3 in class to do it, but Cunningham needs to finish P4 in class or better, plus the fastest lap minimum, in order to make it depend on what Self does in this one as well. So even though most of the championship titles, if not all of them, are settled in Waterhouse, with myself, Scott Woodward, alongside for the final time, this could still be quite an interesting prospect. What we could certainly see for most people here, they just want to get a good result and get some bragging rights, but ultimately now we've got a little bit of wet weather in the mix as well. It's not fully wet, it's more intermediate conditions. That's usually the worst kind of conditions that drivers want. You either want it one way or the other. It's right in the middle. This could get spicy.
Just what we like as well, isn't it, Scott? Plenty of nice and easy maths there for us to work out in the final race. But we couldn't have asked for anything better, could we? Round 16, the final race of this season for the Racing Hondas Championship. And the weather gods have thrown a spanner in the works, haven't they, indeed, as they just make their way around Murray's now back onto the start-finish straight here. Greasy conditions on the track. Talking to Alexi a little bit earlier when we're talking about the conditions that drivers hate, and they are this sort of mid-moment, aren't they? It's raining, but it's not particularly raining hard, but it's greasy, it's damp, but it's not properly wet yet either. So yes, this has all the makings of something quite special.
I wonder if the lap behind the safety car out of assembly was their one first kind of formation lap to get used to the conditions. The second one's back round to the grids. They've done their 2 laps to get used to the
I think
conditions.
you're absolutely spot on
so
there.
That could be the case.
And it's worked out quite well for Kevin Talbot, all of this as well, hasn't it?
It has. Certainly he's going to try redeem himself after some issues he had from race number 1. So, this is it then. 15 races complete, 1 still to go. The cars forming up one by one. The Class B cars just starting to very steadily move their way into position. And Fraser starting on the outside of the front row of the grid. Hopefully should get possibly a good start because he's on the slightly flatter part of the course on that side. And I have to say, for this being a first season commentator in Racing Hondas, I've thoroughly adored it from start to finish. And I hope this race gives us a fitting send-off for what's been an incredible 3rd season for the championship. But you know the drill, you know the saying, it is all calm and quiet until the VTEC kicks in. And for the final time in 2025, we're all set for it then. Brace yourselves, this could be a good one. So, Kevin Talbot starts the final race of the season on pole position. The 5-second board is up. We are ready for Racing Hondas. One last dance in 2025. The red lights are on at Snetterton. We are go!
Yeah.
Strong start initially from Kevin Talbot. Fraser's gone with him. A cracking start for Dave Buki, up to third already. Not hanging around either of the three EG Civics. Jordan Morgans goes practically nowhere towards the back of Class A, and everyone in Class B pours past him. But down towards turn one, it's side by side for the lead into Ritchie's. There's a little bit of fisticuffs, and there's contact. Round goes James Alford, round goes Bob Barron. Off the road to quality goal. Will Self, he's gone off the road. That could be massively crucial for the championship in the runner-up spot because he's right down the order. He's not towards the back, and Fraser McNeil's off the road down at the hairpin at Wilson. There's 3 cars off in the space of 2 corners. So both the Kilted K-Swaps cars are off. 3 of the EGs are off the road. Into the lead of the race has gone Kevin Talbot. Second is Dave Buki. Third is now the third place man, which is the Josh Harvey. Fourth is now Phil Wright. Fifth now overall, and leading Class B is Lewis Barker. What a cracking start he's had because of all the Class A shenanigans around him as they come back down towards Brandon Nelson. Harvey already challenging Buki, but that was a messy start to the first couple of corners. But more importantly, Will Self contending for that overall second spot in the championship in getting tangled up in incidents he did not need to be involved in.
Oh, it's exactly what he didn't want, isn't it? And Fraser McNeil as well. It made a good point down here. Starting on the left-hand side, that's actually the should be the slightly drier side. We do have a safety car, I believe, now as well coming out. I wonder if there's still a couple of those cars that are unable to get going again up by Wilson. Let's have a look at the circuit cams as well. Not seeing too much, but wow, dramatic start here for round 16 of the Racing Hondas Championship.
Well, if Bob Barron was the one that's caused the yellow flag, well, his door's currently open, but he's going down towards Wilson Hairpin. There he is. I think his car was the one that was stationary. He got it moving again. It's now not in the view of where the incident was. This reminds me a bit of Knock Hill, as Bob Barron, in fact, and sadly, and looking at our CCTV cameras, has pulled off the road. So I'm afraid the double Knock Hill winner is not going to score in the final race of the championship. And of course, on this one, there are no drop scores to use in either race this weekend. So obviously, if you get a 0 score, it has to count as to your final points total in the end.
I'll tell you, can I say, Dave Buki, watch out for him. P2 now, behind the safety car now, of course. They all bunch up again. So we'll get a cracking restart here. Josh Harvey, of course, there. Probably exactly what Kevin Talbot didn't want, because he just, for the first half of that lap, managed to get a little bit of daylight after Fraser McNeil, of course, went off from second place. But he did have the dry line, Fraser McNeil, and they were side by side going into Riches. It was a fantastic start. But we are now behind the safety car, 12.5 minutes to go. Behind the safety car, of course, the time does continue to tick down. So we're still in racing conditions just behind the safety car.
So Kevin Talbot in the lead, which the safety car's coming in this lap. I think it was such a quick safety car because of the fact that it was for Bob Barron's car that was stationary. He's now moved it to a safer position on the inside of the exit of Wilson Hairpin. That means he's going to be okay. So Kevin Talbot, we can keep quick stock of where we are, though. The key thing to watch out for, I'll get to where Will Self is in a second. So Kevin Talbot leads the way. He's aiming for his 4th win of the season. Dave Buki has not scored a podium all season. His best result so far this year is 5th place 3 times. So he's going to try and...
Dave.
No, 4 times. He finished 5th in race 1 earlier on, I think he did. So Josh Harvey in 3rd place, looking for his 2nd podium. Phil Wright's in there too. Now, critically, Will Self is currently 5th of the point score in Class A cars and 14th overall, whereas Ryan Cunningham is 3rd in class, ahead of Dan Thackeray and behind Barker and Fortank. He can try and push forwards if he can make that happen. He's got a couple of Class A cars to try and pick his way through if they can. But in these ever slippery conditions, this is going to be so tricky. So the safety car escapes. Kevin Talbot decides when to get the race back underway as he gingerly makes his way in towards Murray's corner. Top 4 are stacked up right behind him as they turn out of Murray's corner. Now he puts his foot down. Green flag conditions once again. So with 11 minutes to go in this final race of the season, Kevin Talbot trying to get a victory here, whereas Josh Harvey is on his toes. He can't pass before the line. He times it perfectly. Down the pit straight down towards Ritchie's back under green flag conditions. He'll go down the outside where there will be more grip if he can hold on. Turns into the right-hander and has to capitulate and hold back. This might give Phil Wright a chance to get back into it in 4th position. But the key thing to watch out for here is how much more progress Will Self makes from 14th, but crucially, 5th in point scorers in Class A.
Good driving by Buki down into the Riches here. We saw that one coming, and now round Wilson as well. Put his car in the perfect place. Is that right there? And Harvey almost touching. It might have just been a little tap, nothing more than that, as they now pound down the Bentley straight.
There was a tiny bit of spark. There was a tiny rub between the two of them. They're going to be side by side for 3rd place down the back straight. Another test of 2 generations of Civic, 3 generations in fact. It's EK versus EG versus EP3. The 3 all chronologically together in some kind of order in that section. Class B could be a very interesting battle. Lewis Barker leads it. Now, given where he's been so far this season, he put his first podium last time out at Knock Hill with 2nd place. He's only taken 1 podium. Before that, he'd taken 5 fourth-place finishes. How much would he love to end the season, in which he's been getting stronger, with a class win? But of course, he's got Fortag, Cunningham, and Thackeray right behind him, as the leader gets a massive sideways moment. I think just heard in the background, massive sideways moment through Coram there for Kevin Talbot. Using front-wheel drive, he's managed to keep the front end going. Now for second place, though, Phil Wright puts the pressure on to Dave Buki, little touch of the curb, and they're both leaving Josh Harvey behind. This is interesting. So Phil Wright has passed Josh Harvey. No, Phil Wright has dropped Josh Harvey. Now he's side by side with Buki down the pit straight. Buki fights back. But at this point in time, it's going to be side by side, and Wright, who is local to this circuit, trying to get a good result to finish the year.
Wright's through as well, isn't he? He's got a job done into Richards. This Class B battle's going to be so exciting as well between Barker, Fortag, McNeil. McNeil's Class A. He's coming through quite well, actually. Fraser McNeil started in second, of course, dropped down the order. Cunningham and Thackeray, 8th and 9th on track, but 3rd and 4th in Class B. You mentioned how important all of that could be as well. I wonder if we remember from race 1, Kevin Talbot had a lightning start.
There's Dan Thackeray. He's still skating off the road. That will help Ryan Cunningham in terms of points. And also an extra car that Will Self doesn't have to pass to get himself up the order overall. It won't affect him points-wise that Thackeray's gone off the road. But the overall and Class B champion is almost skating off the road. He just gathered it up on the exit, skating off the road actually at the hairpin is Jordan Morgans, who's had a bit of a tricky first weekend of a championship. And now you get a real a drag race between Class A and Class B. That's the speed difference. This could be also changed as well, because Barker's lost the lead in Class B. He's about to lose second unless he can hold on to Ryan Cunningham round through Brundle and Nelson. Through the right-hander. Just covers him off neatly, but he'll have better traction on the exit. Slots back in front of him. So P2, if Barker stays where he is, will match his best finish from Not Kill last time, but not if he does stuff like that. Huge sideways moment through the right-hander, and that's involved Cunningham. Cunningham's off the road, so both the contenders for overall second place hitting trouble in this race. Cunningham's off the road onto the grass. That'll send him tumbling down the Class B order, and that has more connotations on runner-up in the championship. And there's still half the race to go. It is going off in this final race.
It was like a huge tank slam. I thought he was going to hold it for a minute as well, but unfortunately, a good driving by Cunningham to avoid that as well. That could have been quite the impact, but fortunately, both cars do not touch. Perhaps a little bit of pride hurt more than anything else there. Talbot still leads, though, after 4 laps, but Phil Wright's just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.045 in these very tricky, greasy conditions here for the final time. One last dance for the Racing Honda Championship here at Snetterton in 2025.
Top 4 down the back straight. Still Talbot from Wright, from Buki, from Harvey. And Phil Wright is going after Kevin Talbot here. The gap was 1.1 seconds across the line. If I look at lap times in terms of how much quicker they were, Wright should set the fastest lap of the race, 1:30.045. That's 1.4 seconds quicker than Medici 5 Integra in front. So Talbot now possibly under threat from a charging Phil Wright, who is at his local circuit. The other thing to watch out for here too, Dave Buki's in 3rd position. And again, if he can get a podium, how much of a popular top 3 is that going to be, particularly with these 3? Talbot going from what was the back of Class A in race 1 to the front in race 2. Phil Wright trying to get a podium at his home circuit. And Dave Buki, if he gets 3rd position, there's going to be raptures on the podium later on when he gets there. Through Murray's now for what will be the 5th time of asking. 6 3/4 minutes to go.
Well,
now the charge for Belize, they go down the pit straight.
Surely Phil Wright's going to get the job done here on Kevin Talbot. Remember in race 1, I was saying a little bit earlier before we got very excited, Kevin Talbot had a lightning start, didn't he, to the first half of race 1, and then it started to fall apart a little bit. So fingers crossed that car can make the full 15 minutes. We've got 6 minutes left to go. You're right, Dave Buki, one of the first drivers I ever interviewed in motorsport back in, must have been about 2019. So a lovely chap indeed. Fingers crossed he can take the podium. Here, of course, we don't have any favourites, but I really want Buki to get a podium.
It would be fantastic. So there's part of me that also wants to get him too. I shouldn't have favourites, but he's a popular character in the paddock. Not only does he race his own EK Civic, he runs the 3 cars that are in the mix as well. Now, I want to say something. We're going to get a flag. Someone's off the road. Yeah, but also I'm keeping an eye on the fact that Phil Wright is not in exactly the same pace as he was. He's not 2 tenths behind Kevin Talbot like he was before. He's fading back a little bit, but you are right. There is somebody off at Ritchie's that I can see. The Class C battle goes past our pit lane, but I can see there is a car off in the gravel. If our cameras can catch that, we'll wait and see. In fact, it's Daniel Weston's off the road. Thanks for spotting it on the CCTV camera. So Dan Weston, but Dave's in Class B. He's gone quite far off the road. There are yellow flags down there. I suspect he might be far off enough to not have to worry. Hopefully a safety car, they might just cover that with yellows.
It's a tricky position though, isn't it? If he's gone straight on, I mean, you're carrying a lot of pace as you approach Riches, but fingers crossed, yeah, he's driven it further in as well, I think, to try and get it out the way, which is good, a smart move.
Yeah, so hopefully it's not going to be a safety car, otherwise it might mean this race ends under 1, and fingers crossed we don't get that.
Well, David Buki might not be too
Yes.
disappointed if that's the case, currently in third.
Hopefully they might just cover that with yellows for the rest of the 5 minutes, which means that into Richie's corner, passing is a no-go. Now, interestingly enough, Buki's really pulled away from Josh Harvey. The gap was but 3 seconds, and lap time-wise, he was 1 second quicker. So Buki's got genuine pace there that he's been threatening all season to try and find in the CK Civic. How delighted would he be to get that top position? I really hope this is a commentator's blessing rather than a commentator's curse at this point.
Do you think Josh Harvey's just backed off a little bit after a couple of hairy moments at the start of this race and dropped down the order a touch? And he was right at the back. In fact, it was him, Wright and Buki in that battle, and ever since Wright's got in front, he's just sort of drifted back a little bit and allowed Buki some space. I wonder if he's just thinking, do you know what, last race, just bring the car home.
Potentially, and of course it's his first weekend in the championship. He wants to get a clean run in that car, hopefully with a view to coming back next season. Challenge on for 5th in Class B, so Class A. This, of course, will be for 4th in point scorers for Class A, because Josh Harvey, remember, is a guest, so he doesn't score anything. He's visible for points. Checking with Class B, Spencer 4-tag leads in Class B, and he hasn't actually won a in Class all season. He has got a best of 2nd place at the 2nd race at Donington Park, but since then, back in his last 6 races, he's finished third on the podium twice in Class, a 4th and 3 DNF. Didn't even score anything at Knock Hill. Just to get himself this is before Snetterton, I should add. So if he can get himself a Class victory at the last race of the season, that would break the domination, genuinely, of Dan Thackeray and Ryan Cunningham, because up to this point, it has been either Dan or Ryan winning every single race. So if he can do that, that would be a really nice bookend to the season for Class B. Just under 3.5 minutes to go, and sideways to Fraser McNeil. I told you he was mental. Out of the left-hander at Murray's, and look at that, the mistake he made was easy prey for Will Self. That gives him more points to go up into the standings. Now, in terms of where Ryan Cunningham is, he's currently 6th in Class. Will Self is now 4th of point scorers in Class, and apparently at that point when Self was a little bit further back, it was going swinging towards Cunningham. Now that Cunningham's back in 6th in Class B, it's now gone back towards Self. So we think essentially it's now going more towards Self for the overall 2nd place. But there's Spencer in the FN2. I wonder if the FN2 is maybe a little more user-friendly in these wet conditions compared to the EP3, where because it's being a newer car. Some say it's the least popular of the Civic Type R's, but I think Spencer Fortec would certainly argue that case for it rather than against it at this point in time with 2.5 minutes to go.
He certainly will, and I was talking about Kevin Talbot and Phil Wright going toe-to-toe in this race. I thought Phil Wright was going to breeze past Kevin Talbot. However, the lap before last, Kevin Talbot put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:29.833. The gap is a second. We've got 2 minutes 20 seconds left
changed
on the clock. Oh, he has got through.
He's
Phil Wright
changed.
has got through.
It has changed. So Phil Wright now leads the race with 2 laps to go, I'd say, because we've got 2 minutes 10 to go. Lap time-wise, they're doing 1:30. So Phil Wright, the local driver, looking to get a victory, which would be, if he can hold on to it, it would be his 3rd win of the season. Hasn't won a race since Brands Hatch Race 2, the first visit we had back in June. So if he can get himself a victory to round off the season at his local circuit, that would certainly be the icing on top of the cake for him in a season where he's had to come up with 2nd in Class A.
I think that's my fault, actually, so I'm definitely not going to go see Kevin Talbot after this race.
Still, 2nd place would be a silver lining considering what he had in race 1.
Absolutely.
But you can see the murkiness of the conditions getting a little trickier. But Talbot's not quite finished with this yet. He's keeping right under check here as they come out of Wilson Hairpin onto the back straight. You can see in the infield there, the drift cars enjoying the wet conditions here on the 100 circuit, which is
perfect for them, isn't it?
This weekend,
yeah,
certainly
absolutely.
Been plenty of that all season between several cars, including Will Self, who currently, as we said, is 4th in Class A, and considering that Cunningham is back in 6th in Class B, we think that that's enough outscoring to be able to hold on to 2nd place overall. And of course, there's no change for any class titles because provisionally they're all settled already in favour of Dan Thackeray, Will Self, and Matt Rowling, respectively. Out of Brundtland Nelson and in towards the bomb hole for what will be the 2nd to last time, preparing to start the last lap of the season.
Yeah, emotional times, say final time around in 2025. Although next year's looking good as well, I've got to say, Scott. So we'll touch on that maybe as the checkered flag falls once the cars have completed. But let's stay with the action, shall we? Because Phil Wright looks like, if he can keep it on track, will take the victory. He's got 1 more lap to go, though. He's just coming up over the start-finish straight now. Still 30 seconds left as he starts his final lap of 2025.
And what was going on behind him, though, I just noticed the Class C battle was going on into Murray's. crossing the line into the previous lap, not the one we just completed, but the one before that, Callum Houchin was ahead of Matt Rowling. Matt got ahead at the line, but Callum out-dragged him on the run towards Richie's corner, and of course with the yellows, there's no overtaking. Here's the Class C battle, onto what will be, I think will be their last lap of the race, considering if Phil and Kevin can negotiate them on the back straight, given the pace advantage they have. So this will be essentially their last lap. If Callum can end the season with another victory, that would certainly be a high for him to go through, and in fact it will be the last lap, because Phil Wright is going to power past them in the EG Civic. Onto the back straight for the final time in the championship, and Phil Wright will look to end the season where he's been a former champion before in 2023 and has pushed hard to try and get himself in the mix. So I think through the misfortunes of others and keeping the consistency, Phil has been able to do so. In fact, apart from the first race at Cadwell Park, he's finished every single race, and he hasn't actually finished lower than 5th. So he's finished in the top 5 in every single race that he's managed to get to the checkered flag for. But as he comes out of the bomb hole towards Coram, it's been an incredible third season full of action, full of excitement, full of plenty of great memories, lots of standout moments, and this has been an incredible championship to watch. And 2026 is only going to be a stronger and stronger year for the championship. Talbot keeps on pushing as they put a lap on Jordan Morgan's, but out of the final corner for the final time in 2025, Phil Wright is going to make the local fans pretty happy with this one, as he will himself. Up to the checkered flag to set the final race of the season in Racing Hondas 2025 to bookend the season. Phil Wright takes his 3rd win of the season and wins the final round of Racing Hondas 2025 in fine style in mixed conditions. It is 2nd place for Kevin Talbot. In the background also you can see Callum Houchin makes it a double in Class C, flash of the headlights, and of course 2nd place more than confirms it. And Dave Buki has his first Racing Hondas Class A podium, 3rd place for the EK Civic. That is a popular result, and I tell you what, if anyone's going to be buzzing, it will be Dave. That is sensational. 4th goes to Josh Harvey, and of course he's not a point scorer, but he'll come across, he'll be pleased with 3rd and 4th for his first weekend of a championship. And hopefully I can say, yeah, I've got the confirmation from Carl McKellar himself. Hey. Taking 5th on the road, but 4th in point scorers, it will be Harvey that gets to Class B, the overall 2nd place in the standings. And for Class B, it's a win for Spencer Fortag. So he breaks the domination of Dan Thackeray and Ryan Cunningham. Spencer Fortag takes a 1st win of the season for the FN2. 2nd to Sammy Milam, who gets his best podium. That's another reason for Dave Buki to be excited, because his best result up to that point, Sammy Milam, was 3rd back at Cadwell at the start of the season. So Sammy Milam gets a 2nd place in class and 3rd place for the new champion Dan Thackeray. Excellent job from him, from Sam Lintzner and Ryan Cunningham, with Luke Crassus-Meadow and Harry Greenhill. Then James Alford, Len Lewis Barker and Jordan Morgans did make it through. The only car that we didn't see finish the race, well, one was Weston, the other one I think was Bob Barron. Sadly, he didn't feature in that race. And no Liam Collins, no Tommy Knight either, who was out from qualifying after he had problems. So out from practice with that after his engine blew up.
Breathe, Scott.
And that's it.
Breathe. That's it.
The entire season complete.
And the work is done for you in 2025 World Racing Hondas Championship. What a job you have done. But for one final time, if you wouldn't mind taking us through the classified results as soon as they appear on our screen for round 16 of the Racing Hondas Championship.
See if I can remember how to do this, shall I? Right, so for the final time in 2025, here is the final result of the season in Racing Hondas. Round 16, and it's Phil Wright, the local driver, who takes the victory only by 3/4 of a second from Kevin Talbot in 2nd place after starting on pole. What a result, though. Dave Buki, his first podium in Class A in the EK Civic. He is going to be delighted. It's a shame we can't talk to him on the podium, because effectively we'll see him on the podium, but we can't talk to him on the stream unless we can break some rules here. But Dave Buki, 3rd for him.
Break the rules.
We'll wait and see. Josh Harvey gets 4th place for him on his first weekend of a championship, to add to his podium earlier on. Will Self, though, with 5th place and 4th in point scorers, is enough to give him runner-up in the overall standings to go with his Class A title from qualifying earlier on this morning. Fraser McNeil tried to brave the weather conditions and got himself 6th and 5th of the point scorers in class. And then Spencer Fortag, more celebrations for Class B, a new winner this season, the 3rd different winner, but it took until the final race to do it. Fortag wins. He does it by 0.8 per second for a best result for Sammy Milam for Kinetic Motorsport. More reason for Dave Buki to be happy. And then Dan Thackeray, the new Class B and overall champion, finishes in 9th. Sam Lintzner rounds out the top 10 from Ryan Cunningham, who is the outgoing champion in car number 1. That was his final race with number 1 on the window. Then Luke Crassus-Meadow and Harry Greenhill and James Alford way back in 14th in his EK Civic. From 15th backwards is then Lewis Barker, who started on pole in the class but had to sit all the way back. I think he's been 3rd in class, actually. Then Jordan Morgans completes his first weekend from Callum Houchin, Matt Rowling, and also Dan Weston, who retired. And we also lost Bob Barron as well.